You're listening to Grieve That Sh, the podcast where we stop pretending grief is polite and start telling the truth. I'm Sharon Brubaker, grief specialist and founder of the Grief School. After losing my nephew Austin, my whole world split into two. My heart was split wide open, and I had to learn the hard way that grief isn't just sadness, it's a full body takeover. This show is where we name the pain, we call out the lies, and we give you real tools to process the heartbreak. If you're tired of the cliches and ready to actually heal, you're in the right place. Let's grieve that shit together.
Before we start, a gentle heads up that today's episode discusses the death of a child by suicide, suicidal thoughts, trauma, mental health, and grief. Please take care of yourself, pause if needed, and seek support if the conversation gets overwhelming. You are definitely not alone.
Hey, everybody. Today we're going to have a tough conversation. Even though grief is always a tough conversation, today's conversation is one so many mothers have lived through every single day, but very few are talking about it. And I'm so honored to bring my beautiful guests today so that we can absolutely talk about this. We're not talking about just the thoughts, we're talking about the experience of death by suicide, but death by suicide of your child. We think getting through the funeral is the hard part. We think getting the flowers is the hard part. But there's so much more to the after. And that's what we're talking about today. So today I want to introduce my very amazing guest, Joanna Martinez Dunn. And she's going to tell us her story. Joanna, thank you so much. And thank you for your willingness to do this. You're going to change lives. You're going to be changing lives. And I think mamas and sisters are going to hear your voice and they're going to have hope for the first time. And I know sometimes grievers hate to hear that, but welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love hearing that just because I get told of that. I'm so fortunate because I have a lot of friends and family and my community tells me that so much. And at first I was like, very humbled about it, but I am now, I receive it every time and I know it's coming from the heart. And I want to make sure when I say thank you that like for you example right now, I really, really receive that. And thank you so much for saying that.
Awesome. So
Mhm.
you can tell as little or as much about your story as you want,
Mhm.
but tell us what brings you to the podcast today. So just kind of break it down however
Mhm.
much you want to share.
Yeah, so I know Sharon. Thank you. Of such a blessing. I met her. I met you early in my process. I think it was only like a couple, maybe a month or two after my son passed away. So my son Jacob Diaz passed away by suicide on September 25th, 2022. And then 2.5 weeks after we laid him to rest, his father John also passed away in the same manner. Um, what followed that, of course, as most mothers can imagine, or any person, even if you're not a mom, was my own battle with mental health, complicated grief. And then I also had an attempt in March of 2024. So that's kind of like where everything has started for me in this second part of my life. Um, I find that through this process, and I've heard this by many other grievers and people who have just lost children, not only to suicide, but just lost children in general. And in books that I've read, that you're once a child passes away, your life is split into two chapters, the before and the after.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the after right now. We're coming up on 4 years in September, and I've learned so much. And this is going to sound maybe strange to some people, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful, not that my necessarily son died, but I'm grateful for the lessons that I've learned, and I'm grateful for the love. So, I know.
Oh, you got me, girl. You found me from this podcast. You reached out to
Hmm.
Erica and myself, Erica being my
Yes.
sister who's lost Donovan in Austin.
Yes.
You
Mhm.
reached out and you were like, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I want to throw this in there also. You're a therapist.
Yes, yes.
And
So, yeah, so
go
I'm
ahead, say that part.
yeah, so I'm actually at the tail end of I'm an associate licensed professional counselor. So that has been a journey itself because my son passed away at the end of my um end of the master's in the clinical mental health. So I don't know, it felt very, that's another part of my journey of this is understanding where my place felt as a counselor dealing
Yeah.
with this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, let's go back to that moment.
Hmm.
Did
Hmm.
you think, well, I'm a counselor, I'm
Hmm.
trained, I can handle this? Was there ever that thought? Like, I can figure this out?
So when my son, before my son passed away, and I started, we were dealing with the events that led to his passing, I believe, I was in that mindset
Yeah.
of I should know what to do, not only as a counselor, but as a mom. And thank goodness I have a little bit of training. And I kind of went into that mode um, of mom and counselor. And again, I was just grateful that I had that information and that knowledge, which later actually made my grief more complicated. But now I'm, again, through some work, it's also the very thing that I lean into when I say that I'm a good mom. Because the biggest thing I struggled with is I'm just a bad mom. I lost a kid to suicide. Like it's my fault. Like um that means something was I missed something. There was something that I passed along to him that caused this. Because a mom's supposed to love your children. Children are supposed to be loved. Why would he want to leave? And that also impacted how I felt as a counselor. So, and then when his dad passed away, I kind of also went into counseling mode because I was like, okay, he's grieving. I put my grief aside. I need to save him. I lost one. Like, I can't lose him too. I did all the textbook things that they tell you to do, and he still went.
Yeah.
So it was like a double whammy.
Yes.
And yeah.
So that is that is a comment that I've heard before. I should have known better. I'm a good mom. I should have known that he was struggling. How did you
Mhm.
come full circle on that?
So it's
Describe that?
yes. So of course at the beginning, I think uh, really only it took me about 3 years after his passing to really, with a lot of hard work, a lot of grace, a lot of support, um, of finally understanding that I did do everything
Yeah.
capable. Like I had resources, I had information, I had was a nurturer by I'm a nurturer by nature.
Yeah.
um, but everything in my body told me it wasn't that. And I read about that because it's part of your brain. It's part of your
Yeah.
brain development when you grow, have an attachment, especially with a child, because they're literally coming from your body. Your brain starts to form these things that it needs to nurture that and nurture yourself. So it's like getting your arm cut off and your body doesn't know what to do at first. It's like this piece of you is missing. In this case, it wasn't a limb, it was a person. And my brain was the only thing that could maybe was trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So initially, yeah, it was I missed something, I missed something. And as you know, or maybe and people who are listening to this now may not know, your brain will go crazy trying to figure out what you missed, and you replay everything in such great detail.
That's exactly where I wanted to go
Hmm.
with this. So that
Hmm.
is so cool. But before we go there, hold that
Hmm.
thought because that's where we're going.
Hmm.
One of the things I've been teaching a lot about is the before and the after, and you touched
Hmm.
on that a little bit earlier. So there's the life before, right?
Hmm.
And then there's after, and you say, I'm absolutely living in the after. I talk about the tween. The grieving part happens in between that, right?
Hmm.
So in between the before and the after. So you had your life with Jacob before. Jacob was a baseball player. He was in
Hmm.
school. He was graduating. Like
Hmm.
everything was the before, the mama taking care of him. And then the death happens, and then you go in the tween. And that's
Hmm.
where the grief is happening. And
Hmm.
I also teach about the after. So I love all that. So we're going to stay in the tween right now. That's what
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
teach because I love that you brought that up because that's where we are. In the tween, your brain started to play tricks. Because one of the things that happens is you're trying to solve the case. That's how I
Mhm.
teach it, right? You're trying to solve the case. So your brain was looking for every single thing that you missed, you could have possibly missed. Tell me about that. Because okay,
Yeah.
because this is, Joanne, and this is what I need to know. That's more than the average person who is grieving.
Mhm.
The death by suicide has this extra component to it where you're trying to answer the questions. Am I right?
Yes. And then in my case, my son did leave a note. I saw my son an hour before, and he like basically clinically, or just as a counselor from the counselor eyes, even as a mother's eyes, he was okay in my eyes.
Mm,
I had a gut because he had, I know, again, very attached, very in tune with Jacob's emotions, but I wanted to, I fought against it because Jacob asked me, especially as he grew older, Mom, you got to trust me. So when you overwhelm me with, Are you okay? Are you okay? Don't leave, stay here. I feel like you don't trust me. And I think there's also, and I can share that in a little bit, but I think that was also our souls knowing that we were going to say goodbye to each other.
mm,
Um, because I did get a final, I love you. I think I'm so proud of you, kid. I know you're struggling with the ending he was ending a relationship, and I'm here for you. I got you. And he's like, Mom, I know I'm going. He said all the right things that clinically, that, someone that you would ask someone that you're worried about that may take their lives. And he ate. I mean, all those boxes were checked. So the thing I can kind of compare it to as far as that moment is, again, it kind of adds to, like you say, the between, or the tween of the grief is, well, if you've ever been to the mall and your child gets lost, you go into immediate action. You start,
yeah,
your fear comes up. You're thinking, okay, block the doors,
yeah,
contact security, start yelling his name. My child was lost, but there was nothing to do with it. And so what your brain does is go through it. Now it's my fault.
yeah,
Because again, like when your like you have a lost child in the mall, and they're finally found, you think, oh my God, thank goodness. Now I'm going to correct this. You can't, I'm going to always keep you in an eye distance. Eye distance now. I'm going to now track you on the phone. In my case, how do I track my child? He's gone.
yeah, yeah.
So
And
my brain was just thrown in this like chaos of finding a solution. And it took me a long time to figure out there wasn't a solution. I had to grieve.
right, right, right. Um, so there was a long time where you felt like you had failed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, and I think sometimes it's the stigma also. And to be honest, I had the stigma too. When you hear a child died by suicide, what was going on with him?
Yeah,
Was he having trouble? Was he using drugs? You automatically think something that bad, that in that family is wrong.
yes.
Um,
So, and
so
that was one of the questions I had in the back of my mind
Mhm.
to ask you. One of the things that I have loved about you since day one is your honesty
Mhm.
and your willingness to always tell the truth.
Yes.
I never had a problem with even the raw truth. You went there. Did you have a problem telling strangers that my son died by suicide, or did you hold that as people need to know? They need to know.
It was both, but it's interesting because that kind of worked against me in my grief, because I wish I could say, yeah, Jacob was having drug issues. Yeah, Jacob was, you know, angry, or I mean, I obviously, looking back, I know there was depression and anxiety, but that made it kind of worse because it's like that even didn't make sense to me. It's like,
Yes,
no, I was a good mom. He was a good kid. I wish I could say, yeah. And I felt like maybe if he had been like using drugs, or, was just wild and crazy or something, that I could say, yeah, you know what, he was having a lot of trouble, and ended up the way it did.
right.
Um,
Because if you could hook it on alcohol or drugs, you could hook it on there and people would say, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense." But you were
or you,
oh,
yeah.
right, right. And when
So
you
I
were
felt yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I felt myself defending him. And I wondered sometimes, do people believe me? Like, or they just think I'm because like you said, most grievers will defend
Yes.
their loved one. We won't talk
Yeah.
bad about them, but it
Yeah.
wasn't that for me. He was a really good kid.
Yeah. 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 And that I believed you. I did believe
Yeah,
you because
yeah.
all of the stories were so amazingly true. So the struggle was not having the answers,
Yeah,
not
of
having
course.
the answers. So there was a big struggle there. Um, how difficult was it to live with the questions that you never seemed to fully have the answers to?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that every single night and almost every waking moment was replaying it, even from, and again, I'm going to say this as gently as I can, but it's the truth of did he feel my son used a gun? Did he feel the impact of the bullet?
Mm,
I'm just pray like, did it hurt him? Like those details.
right.
Um, his father mentioned that he was breathing loudly and was like, was he actually conscious? And you read the science behind it. And of course,
Yeah.
the science said no, he had the way where it was, it was instant, but still you don't care about the
Yeah.
science.
Yeah.
And what ends up being is you could, God could come and tell me and said, he didn't suffer. He didn't, he's good. I would still be like, but
Yeah. But wait a
no,
minute,
there's,
Jesus.
yeah.
But wait a minute, Jesus. We need one more thing. Give me this. Give me
Hmm.
that. I get that.
Hmm.
How did the thoughts affect your sleep?
Oh, it was again, I ended up on psychiatric. I mean, I when I say I did everything, and my dad would kind of, we say it jokingly now that we're a little bit, you develop a dark humor with this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. But he said, you guys checked almost every box. And luckily for me, I didn't check the illegal substance box, but I
Yeah.
did indulge in some alcohol. I did use drugs, like as far as psychiatric medications to help me sleep. I did counseling, I did TMS, which is that transcranial magnetic stimulation. I
Right.
saw you right away,
Yeah.
life coach. I've seen
Yeah.
another life coach. I mean, I was willing to go to the moon and back to figure this
Yes.
out.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and maybe now that I'm saying that, maybe that was another way of me trying to find an answer.
Oh, yeah, that was you closing the doors. That
Hmm.
was you equivalent to you closing the doors. I you gave me a run for my money. You definitely gave me a run for my money. I threw everything I could at it. One thing I knew I wasn't going to do was let you go.
Yeah.
Um,
And you didn't.
I'm not patting my back. I just
No, you
I
never
was
did.
like, "This little girl needs help," and I am not letting it would you we would talk and you would call, and sometimes you would go away and I couldn't find you, and then I'd find you again and we'd come back and I was like, "Okay, where are we at? What are we doing?" You showed up for every class though. You showed up for every class. You did every assignment I gave you. You did every assignment. Um, but I was like, "I'm not letting go. I'm just not gonna let go." And I even called Erica. I called in the big
Yeah.
guns.
I know. I remember having speaking to her. Yes. And
I was
so
like,
when I
I
tell,
called her. I was like, I need your help.
so when before we started recording, when you said like, when I tell you, and I've told you, I feel like I've told you this a couple times, you have literally saved my life because there's moments that I think I wouldn't have made it. And it wasn't just once, it was so many times. So thank you for that.
Thank you for allowing me to be on this journey and to
Mhm.
really get to know Jacob through your eyes and all the experiences. I've met your family. I've hung
Mhm.
around. We've been there. It's such a place of honor, such a place
Yeah.
of honor. And even in one of my struggles, I reached out to you and you have been
Mm.
amazing with that. And so I want to say thank you. But that's not the end of our podcast. So we're going
Yes,
to.
yes, I know. But I did want to add to the when you talked about the sleep. I feel like that's important to note because your brain is still going to keep going.
Yes.
And the anxiety in my sleep was incredible. I think I would wake up with earaches because I think the tears were falling inside my ears.
Oh, wow.
I would have, of course, the nightmares, the night terrors. I ended up being on medication for night terrors. Um, the sleep sometime was worse. So then it throws you into another tailspin because now you're not rested
Yeah.
and you almost become disassociated and you almost become like you're living in a dream state the whole time because you're just so exhausted.
Yes.
Hmm.
Thank you. Thank you. How did
Hmm.
it affect your ability to work and your day-to-day function?
So, like a lot of people, you just kind of you're reaching for anything that's normal or that's familiar to you. So in me, it was work, and of course, the world tells you take time off of work. But what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
And let me call the bill collectors and tell them that I can't work for. So, and it was the only thing that I felt because, again, the way my son passed, I'm not a good mom anymore. I'm certainly
Mm.
not a good wife. I'm not a good daughter anymore because my parents lost their grandson because of me. I'm not a good friend anymore because I'm grieving and I just can't even function. So the one thing I thought maybe I could do was work. And it helped some days, but I
Yeah.
also know that some days it hurt me a lot.
Yeah.
Um, So, and of course, I had a very supportive, I'm blessed enough to work for my uncle who gave me a lot of grace. I had been in my position for like, I think 11 years. So everyone was familiar with me. And it's like they tell me, even though we never met Jacob, we knew him. And so a lot of them showed up, and you could tell they were moving around me. So I was in a very unique situation, I think, in the blessed one, because I received a lot of grace, but I'm also aware that a lot of people don't get that.
Yeah.
But really, what is time? How much time do you tell a parent? Is it a
Yeah.
year? Is it 2 years?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. How much time? And how much time? Now, let's go back to the before and after.
Hmm.
The tween,
Hmm.
we don't know how long you stay in the tween. You can stay there for years. There are people still in the tween. They've never
Oh,
made
yeah.
it after, and they will stay there until the day they leave this earth. And we know that to be true. I love the
Of course.
analogy of you trying to close the doors at the mall to save him. Uh,
Hmm.
let's start talking about when things started to turn. What helped you to challenge some of the thoughts, do you think? I'm not a good mom. What helped with that?
So, I kind of mentioned my suicide attempt, and my faith grew a lot, and for me, it's people like you that I think God put in place to just God send me certain people at certain time. There was friends I was literally in the garage wanting to go that way and shutting the garage door, and a text would come in, how are you doing? And it
Yeah,
would just it just would, you hang on, and I would say like you're literally grasping at straws,
yeah,
because in that moment I knew I didn't I'm trying to die in my experience, and I imagine in most people it's fearful. It's scary, it's gonna hurt, we don't know what it's gonna feel like, and it's not gonna be pleasant. So you're fighting for your life even though you're wanting to go because you're in so much pain, you just want relief.
yeah.
So when I went through that, um, I thank God for that now because I think it was actually, thankfully, I survived. And I think God showed me this is what Jacob was going through.
Mm,
He wasn't himself. It wasn't a lack of love because I love my other son. I love my son Landry. I love my husband. I love Sharon. I love my friends. I love my mom. So it's not a matter of I don't love people. I want to hurt people. I was I was just gone. I was in so much pain. And you so I think God almost put me through that to gave me the answer that I not say the answer, but an understanding of Jake. There's no answer to this. It's just Jacob was in this pain and he did something that he didn't understand what he didn't really, I don't even think he understood what he was doing because I did it. Because and my every fiber in my being was going against this. I'm a mom to another little boy. My son just passed away by suicide. His dad passed away. How am I going to do the very thing that I know the repercussions of? So it was unnatural again for me to do that, but I tried.
Joanne, what a beautiful, beautiful story. So you're saying, I'm gonna say this again, you're saying God had to show it to you. He had to literally take you there and show this to you in order for you to understand.
It
Oh
gave
my
me
God.
it gave me the forgiveness that I couldn't give myself.
Wow. So by God taking you on that journey. Now, one of the things that we talk about is I leave everyone to be where they are with their relationship with God because I have to.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
sometimes we're mad at God, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
Erica has talked about this openly. She was really mad that she had to give another child. Like, how dare you?
Oh, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So that fight with God, I don't usually do this, but I want to hear about this because some people
Mhm.
lean on their faith.
Mhm.
Was there a struggle with your relationship with God in the beginning? How did that go? Or was he steady? Did you turn your
Yeah.
back? Explain that.
I felt like I wanted to, but it was in me. And
Okay.
and I have a good foundation. Always since I was a kid, I remember being like my first memories are I remember I went to Catholic catechism, and one of the teachers just said, "Hey, you can talk to God whenever you want." And I remember always talking to him. So I feel like I was just grateful for that foundation. Um, I also know that that was just the only thing I had some days. So I didn't want to let that go. But also, more importantly, as a mom, I knew that if I gave up on God, then all the things that would tell Jacob about his faith and his relationship and him just being a good person. Because I would tell him the same. I grew up Catholic. I said, here's my foundation. I'm gonna kind of take you through the sacraments, but you have a choice. And even if it's not God, like you just have to know there's something higher than you, and that you have to be good because we all have to answer to something. And so I feel like I know he had a relationship with God. So, but it's so my as a mom, my instinct was if I let go of God, I'm gonna let go of Jacob. And I can't do that. So I hung on to it, but I did have conversations with the devil.
Yeah.
Um, because I was resisting everything to be mad at God. And again, to each their own, but that was just what I hung on to. But with the devil, I remember driving to the cemetery one night and I'm like, I'm here, throw it at me, take me.
Yeah.
You want this? Here you go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and yeah, so
Joanna, I don't know why I always call you Joanne. Joanna.
it actually is Joanne.
Okay, I
But
don't I
I
don't
answer to
wrong.
both. Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
answered to
but
both. Okay. So I think I've done that before.
yeah.
Okay. I want to talk about this.
Mhm.
It is not uncommon for grievers to feel like they don't want to be here anymore.
Of
And
course.
that is one of the things that we need to talk about. Listen,
Mhm.
my book's getting ready to come out, Grieve That Shit. And I talk about all this
I
shit
heard.
in the book. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm.
like, hey, we've got to talk about that. One of the things that some grievers feel immediately after is the feeling of not wanting to be here anymore,
Yeah.
out their
Yeah.
person. That's real. And if
That
we
is real.
don't start saying it and talking about it, they're going to feel like something's wrong with them.
Mhm.
So elaborate on that a little bit for me.
Yeah, that was actually one of the hardest parts because I felt that. And even though my body, I think, was naturally fighting it because, again, every time I would do something because I also was a self-harmer. I was a cutter. I mean, again, my suicide attempt wasn't just, I had a major one, but there was things that I would do to kind of tease or kind of see, okay, I'm going to kind of see how this would feel. Can I go take it this far? Um, So yeah, that feeling of I don't want to be here. And of course you naturally fight it. But a lot of people, what they would tell me was, of course, they would tell me, you have your little one, we love you. I didn't want to hear that shit.
No.
I didn't. I'm hurting and you don't understand.
Yes.
And what I say often is, I know people have lost children in probably worst ways. I actually recently read a book by Rachel Poland Goldberg, I believe she lost her son in when Hamas took over the
Yeah.
Israel festival, and
Yes.
she talks about how unique it is. It is unique for every parent because I could literally, I mean, talking to Erica, I know her pain. I'm
Yes.
familiar with her story. She's had two children pass,
Right.
and still in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you don't get it. Mine's different. I love
Yes.
my kid, like I love my kid a different way.
Yeah.
So it's unique in that. And so when someone tells me, well, he loves you, you still love him, it's like, I don't care. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And that's a show on its own, girlfriend. I got to bring you back for that one. That show on its own. Okay, before we go on to the next question, I we've been you've been dropping something. I got to hit on it. John.
Mhm.
John is Jacob's dad,
Mhm.
and so you got hit with a second loss 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
How do you come back from that? How do you even?
That was another part of my grief because, again, I guess the between the between you call,
Yeah, the tween. I call it the tween.
the tween. I think that's what you were saying.
Yeah.
Um, it was also something I, of course, blamed myself because I couldn't save him, but I also knew I wasn't going to. And all his family recognized that. I have family members, his families tell me all the time. Every time we saw John after Jacob passed, we hugged him extra tight because we knew it was probably going to be the last time. But I was also, again, when I was very angry at him because now I'm like, you both left me here.
Yeah.
How could you
Right.
both, you should have taken me with me. But there was also a lot of grace because of John. Like John, we think actually may have heard the shot. John held Jacob in his last breath, so he saw the trauma with John. So what happened to me uniquely, which I mean, John and I's relationship, I'm gonna give him shit about it when I see him again, is he got a lot of grace.
Yeah.
And I felt I didn't because I was still here. So everyone was trying to keep me alive now. But everyone was like, yeah, but we all knew John. John was different. John was gone. Like, and his physical was gone. Like everyone knew he was a ghost walking for those 2.5 weeks. And so, but what that happened was like, well, what about me?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why am I not allowed that? And I know
Yeah.
people weren't going to tell me, yeah, go ahead and go, and we're going to be fine without you. Because in fact, my husband would tell me that all the time. He'd be like, what do you want me to tell you? It's okay to kill yourself? Is that
Yeah.
what you want me to tell you?
Yeah.
And my response, I didn't even have a response for that because of course I would have been like, yeah, I do. Um, but he's like, I'll never tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but I wanted to hear it, but I didn't. So I felt that, yeah, that was also very difficult because it's like, why is John getting so much grace and I'm not?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Wow.
Mhm.
There was a point where you and I had a conversation about Landry, whether you should tell Landry the truth or not,
Mhm.
or how much you should
Mhm.
tell Landry. Share a little
Mhm.
bit about that. Like what were the decisions that you guys made? And
So
who
one of the things,
is Landry?
yeah, and Landry's my son, so he was 8 when this happened. Actually, today's his birthday as we record
Oh,
this. He's
oh,
12. He's
oh,
12. He's in Florida at Disneyland having the time of his life. But
oh,
again, my faith, I mean, God knew. I don't think God like willed it or said Jacob's going to do this, but he knew people have struggles. He knew we have free will, but I think God knew what was going to happen, and He put tailor-made Landry for me
yes.
to be the kid that I needed him to be. Um, so initially, of course, he didn't understand, and we decided not to have Landry at Jacob's viewing because I remember John distinctly saying, I remember being dragged to funerals. And of course, culturally, we're always told family's got to go, you got to be there, you got to support each other, and that includes the children. And what child wants to be at a funeral?
Yeah.
But of course, you're told that's what you come together. Which
Yeah.
in my first instinct was to do that, was just follow along in that. But then remember John saying, like, he goes, I remember being dragged to funerals and seeing, I could still see all the people in their casket. And so he's like, so even John, even though Jacob or Landry wasn't John's son, he treated Landry just like his own.
Mm,
And Ricky and I, my husband, spoke about it, and we said, you know what, we don't. Landry's last memory of Jacob was coming in, him tackling, wrestling with him, eating a burger with him. Let's preserve that. His little 8-year-old mind doesn't need to see his brother like that. And Jacob looked beautiful. Like they did a wonderful job, but still, it's you know that the person is passed away. Um, so we decided not to take him to the service. But what that did for Landry was he had a lot of questions, even at 8. He's like, I remember distinctly, he was, well, am I going to get sick? Because we told him Jacob was sick and passed away. And he's like, well, he's my brother. Is that going to happen to me too? Why didn't anyone take him to the doctor? So that was difficult, but I just kept reassuring him, you just got to trust mommy right now that mommy's making a good decision for you. And then we had cousins and we had a babysitter, so they all stayed the night of the viewing. I did have Landry go to the burial
mm,
so he could have some closure.
mm.
I think that helped a little bit. Um, and then it wasn't until a year later, till 9, because Landry was different. Of course, he was grieving. He was watching me essentially kill myself slowly
Yeah.
but surely. He saw Ricky struggling. He saw Ricky trying to save me. Our house was chaotic. Um, he was kind of left aside, to be honest. He was forgotten. And I remember one of my best friends said, I remember when my brother passed away, it was like my mom died and we were forgotten.
Yeah.
And we know my mom loved us, but she just never came back. And I knew that, but it was like I couldn't get myself out of it, which made me feel worse. And so about a year later, he kept saying, I feel like everyone knows how Jacob died and no one's telling me. And I had a conversation with his play therapist, and she says, maybe maybe it's time. Maybe you don't have to go into details. You can answer what you want, but maybe tell him. And so we did. So I sat Landry down and I was like, hey, do you want to know how your brother passed? And he goes, yes. And he's like, I said, he passed away by suicide. And he got quiet. He looked down and he's like, okay. And I was waiting for all the like questions, and he's like, okay. And I said, do you have any other questions? And he's no.
Yeah.
And it's like his light switched back on,
Yeah.
which I was so scared of the opposite. And I'm not saying
Yeah.
every child's going to react the same way, but for me, what that taught me was we have to, again, teaching what we talked about before, teaching them how to grieve.
We have to teach them how to grieve, and we have to talk about the truth. And sometimes the truth is ugly. Look, Joanne, the only way out of here is through death. That's the only way that I know.
Mhm.
I have not seen anyone open another door and we're going to go this other way. We're all going to go through death. So if all of us are grievers and we're all going to experience grief, we have to,
Mhm.
how do we want our child to experience grief? Because poor Landry, this will not be his last loss.
Yes,
We'll have
yes,
more,
yes.
right? I distinctly remember working with you and I being
Mhm.
on our Zoom, and Landry
Mhm.
coming in and laying his head on your shoulder multiple times,
Oh yeah.
laying in, checking on you, making sure you're okay. I can't, he's like, he would just lay his head and he and I would talk, and just the beauty of that.
Yeah, yeah, and I think because there was an age gap, like they were 11 years apart. So Landry still, even though he was an only child, he kind of had that instinct of it's just me and my mom. And then
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about attachment styles, and yeah, yeah, we're definitely attached. Like
Yeah.
I don't think Landry knows that he's been born out of my uterus yet
Yeah.
sometimes, even to this day. Uh, so for him, he struggled more not letting me not like in my mind as a mom, I was trying to protect him, but
Right.
that hurt him so much. I was
Yes.
keeping him at arm's length,
Yes.
and all
Yes.
he wanted to do was help me.
Yes. Yeah. And I saw that. Like he didn't
Mhm.
know how, and you didn't know how to let him. And you were worried about him all the time. We talked
Mhm.
every time we met, we were talking about what do I do for Landry? What do I do for Landry? Okay. What thoughts about Jacob bring you comfort today?
So
This is the after.
yeah, this is the after. Now when again, the grief will be there because
Yes.
I miss, but again, as I mentioned, I'm grateful for it. I've learned to embrace the pain. And I remember you telling me that, but I didn't, you don't really know what that means. And again, what everything, it's like a paradox because everything, what we hear if you're happy, that means when you're sad, you're not happy. They're the
Right.
opposites, right? If you're in pain, that means you're not comfortable.
Right.
If your love means hate or hurt or anger or again, pain. So everything that my body's telling me, what I knew was love for Jacob, now I just feel pain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so my brain associates that with, again, what's wrong?
Yeah.
Why I'm missing something? How do I fix this? But what I've learned with time in the after is in the present now, even, and I still learn it. There's days like even last night, I had to remind myself, thank you for this pain because the pain lets me know that the love is there.
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
have to find the love in the pain because it is.
It
It's what
is.
it is.
It
It's
is what it
pain.
is.
Pain
Yeah.
is love.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you give birth to a child, it's painful.
Yes, exactly. And then you get this beautiful thing that keeps you up all night. The
Mm-hmm.
um s the pain means that you loved someone that really mattered, that he was really important to you. Otherwise,
Mm-hmm.
there would be no pain, correct?
Yeah, I don't want the pain to go away. If that is
Yeah,
that now, and now I'm in the opposite end of it is the pain. When I look up, I'm looking at his picture right now. He's behind me. Like, I miss you, kid. I
yeah,
miss you so much, kid. And
yeah.
it brings tears to my eyes and my stomach drops. But I don't want to lose that.
Now, the gut-wrenching pain from the very first days, that's what you worked on.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cause and it does get better physically because I think after a while your body is gonna heal like if it does
yeah,
everything else if you allow it to, if you don't stay in
yeah,
the suffering, right?
yeah.
I remember you telling me that a lot. You're suffering, you're putting
Yes,
yourself in suffering, and there's a
yes,
difference.
yes.
Um, so I try not to suffer too much.
Yeah.
But what that means is I when I want to cry, I cry. I cry all the time.
I love it. I
I
love
don't
it.
care. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And that's part of showing Landry and showing us
Mhm.
and helping other mothers that are going through this right now. Oh,
Mhm.
which brings me to the next question. What do you say to the mom that you meet that is just 5 days out, 5 months out? What would you say to her?
In fact, unfortunately, one of my best friends lost her son in November, and he was a little bit older, but still the same. And what I say is, you miss him. I remind her because she's again kind of I see it trying to stay busy, trying to do this, and trying to figure out what else she needs to do. And I'll just kind of ask her, okay. And I said, what is it that you're actually wanting to tell me, or what is it that you are feeling right now, despite all the things that you think you need to do? And she looks at me and I just say, do you miss him? And she's like, yeah, I just miss him. I said, you need to miss him. Miss
Yeah,
him. He's your son. Miss him.
yeah,
So I think it's that. It's not, I'm not going to tell you. I tried to refrain from telling her, of course, I tell her, take care of your body, take care of your mind, but you have to sit in this for a little bit.
you have to sit in it.
And what everyone did for me was trying to pull me out of it. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to sit in it. In fact, I remember when I started feeling some relief, I missed the grief.
Yes.
I
Yes.
was missing it. I was like,
Yes.
what's wrong with me? Like, I'm not devastated every day and or all day. And I, what is this? Like, I missed it. I felt, and I think it's also kind of just that intensity, like kind of like the dopamine kind of rush that you kind of start to come down. You almost
Yeah.
start to, you crave it.
You do crave it, and I call it the
Mm-hmm.
shifts. So what happens is that these little tiny shifts start to happen, and we kind of move away from it a little bit, and we your body does start to crave it. That brings me to another question. So, okay,
Mm-hmm.
um, there are a lot of moms that tell
Mm-hmm.
me, Jacob left and he left me this pain. I've got to take
Mm-hmm.
care of this pain. I got to honor this pain. They don't want to do the healing. They want to just sit in the pain. What do you
Mm-hmm.
tell her? What do you tell that mother?
Well, in my experience, I would say to them, I'd be like, it's gonna just hurt for a long time. If I
Yeah.
could, I'd take it away from you, but I also don't want to. I can't. One,
Yes.
I can empathize. I can feel the pain. I can feel my own pain for you. And of course, if I know your child, I know like I have my
Yeah.
own grief of him or her. But almost you again just reminding them that the pain means there's love and
Yeah.
what a privilege it is to have loved
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I always I learned with a recent life coach that I did for some leadership skill building is when we operate from a place of fear,
Yes.
we fall short. We short ourselves. But
Yes.
if you nurture the pain from a place of love,
Yes.
you can move mountains with it.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
try to operate now that with a place, my pain, and I operate it from a place of love. Like I said, I'm
Yeah.
grateful because I had 19 years, almost, I was 10, Jacob was 10 days from his birthday. Thank you. Thank you for those 19 years because I also asked myself if I knew the outcome, that I knew Jacob was going to pass away by suicide, would I have just not had him, period.
Yeah.
And even though sometimes the instinct is because the pain is there to maybe say, no, I wouldn't have, the answer is actually no, I would have had him those
Yeah.
19 years. And 355 days that I had him. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have given it up. I
Yeah.
wouldn't
You
have.
wouldn't have changed it for the world, for anything.
Mm.
What does the world need to understand about suicide? Death by suicide. What do you
So
think?
of course, yeah. So I think we don't really know how much it's impacting its impact, of course, because of if anyone has the opportunity to read the book The Anxious Generation, it talks a lot about how the numbers are increasing,
Yeah.
how mental health is becoming more prominent, especially in younger children, which is scary. So we need to educate ourselves about it. No, of course, knowing how to get resources, 988 is a huge one. I advocate for that because I, in fact, have called them many of nights.
Mm,
And it's not to say that sometimes I get the comment, well, I'm not going to talk to a stranger about that they don't know me. And I said, you know what? That's the most beautiful thing about it, because all your family is going to do is tell you, you need to be stronger. You need to come out of this. We love you. Do it for us. But you're not feeling that. So
yeah.
988 is just a lot of times I would just be driving and they wouldn't tell me anything like prolific or like, oh my God, that's like I had an epiphany. They would just get me home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a resource. So also the one thing I would say with too, like it's not a criticism anymore of myself, but it's just a reflection of I didn't ask Jacob if he was going to self-harm. Even though
Mm,
I was so afraid of it, I didn't ask the question because I was afraid of the answer.
yeah.
And having that question, because as you know, and I'm not saying this is the same situation for everyone, but for me, I remember when I was planning it and I was thinking tonight's the night, I'm going to do it. I just wanted someone to ask me,
Yes.
are you going to hurt yourself? Because
Yes.
like I've said before in another podcast, it's hard it is for you to ask that question because you're afraid of the answer. It's even 10 times harder for me to disclose it.
Yes.
So when someone would ask me, I'd be like, thank you for asking me. Yeah, I have a plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Having those conversations, because the reality is that um someone commits or we don't use the word commit anymore because
Yeah.
that's not a like criminal act, but someone takes their life by I believe it's every 40 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if it's in an hour, that's 90 people that have passed away by
Yeah.
suicide. Those
Yeah.
are true numbers.
Those are true numbers that people could have the conversation with. I remember I took a death by suicide class, and that's what started me on asking, do you have a plan? And really getting in there because I would be afraid because so many women were coming to me saying, I don't want to be here anymore. And that's, you know what? You got to hit it head on. You got to have the
Okay.
conversation.
Well,
You
what's your plan to leave? Do what do
What's your
you, yeah.
plan? Yeah. What's your plan?
Mhm.
How are you going to do it? And like sometimes going down in there getting in the dumping in the pit with them is the difference that they need to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then it's even just like the the plan that you can unravel the plan. So for
Yeah.
example, when I would tell my husband I'm going to hang myself, he would go and take all of the belts away.
Yeah.
He would literally take it out of my hands and I'd be really mad at him, but I also
Yeah.
wanted him to do that.
Yeah.
If I told him
Exactly.
I'm going to drive around and hopefully find a bridge I can jump. And again, I'm using that language because I want people to like, these are the words that you need to not be afraid of
Yes.
hearing.
Yes.
So he would take my keys away.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
And it's being able, having the space to say the honest thing.
Mhm.
That's so, we don't, I think we discount that. We think, oh my gosh, I can fix this for her. I can change this. But having the space to say the honest thing makes such a difference. Makes such
Mhm.
a difference. So thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Well,
Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for letting all the women and all the mamas out there hear your voice.
thank you. You're welcome.
You're definitely gonna make a difference. So where do you go now? Where do you go now? Where do you go now?
So,
How do you make this make a difference in the world?
so I love Viktor Frankl's book, A Man's Search for Meaning.
Mm,
I read it early in my grief and I reread it all the time. Um, Basically, like again, when a lot of times when we lose a life, we think, okay, they're gone. Everything's meaningless.
yeah,
But if you can find meaning in your suffering, they say it's the closest you'll be to God.
yeah,
So what that led me to was understanding what true unconditional love is. Untrue, unconditional for love. It's easy to love Jacob. I've said this so many times when I could laugh with him and I could get his big old hug and I could buy him things at the store randomly. And he would always tell me, Mom, you're doing too much and all this stuff. That was easy. Even the hard times of having him so young and the hardships, I mean, looking back, that was easy. That's light work. Finding ways to love him when his presence is in here is what I work for every day. And the way that it's come in for me is I serve others. So I'm part of a nonprofit where I mentor high school kids.
Yeah.
And I obviously teach them coping skills, all that. But the main thing I see is I just sit in the mud with them.
Yeah.
I always tell them, believe in someone or find someone that believes in you more than you believe in yourself. And then when things go to shit, basically, I'm going to sit with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I sit with them. And that it's strange because I did get some criticism about that too. Because everyone was like, well, you're helping these kids. Why can't you do that? Like, why can't your motivation be Landry? I don't know why. Maybe that was my brain protecting again that mom. I'm a bad mom because
Yeah.
for a while, to be honest, I didn't have feel love, and
Yeah.
that scared the shit out of me because
Yeah.
I'm like, I love like this is my kid. Like I can't love him. Why don't I feel it? And what again? What's wrong with me? But
Yeah.
these kids bridge that gap. And you know
Yes.
what? I don't need to know why. It just happened and I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll thank you. So the kids created that. So serving others, doing this podcast has been, again, I'm finding meaning in this suffering, I guess, or the meaning of his loss. And that's how I still continuously love Jacob every single
Yeah.
day. I find something every day to do for him. And it's
Yes.
not in the I'm gonna go fold his shirt over and over. Those are things are nice. Those are for me. When I miss him, I want to go hold his shirt. I
Yeah.
had to make it more, it had to come from an emotional place.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Absolutely. I absolutely see that. And that is so, so beautiful. Will you come back again?
I would love to. I would love to. Just to see your beautiful face. I would love to. Any opportunity.
Your story is so so amazing, and the change that you've made is just so amazing. I'd love to have you back. This is such a great topic that we have to keep talking about and changing and moving towards. So I would love to have you back again. Maybe we go
Hmm.
into one little idiosyncrasy about it, and maybe even get some other guests on here where we can
Yeah.
do a circle
Yeah.
and share. I think that you're changing. You're going to change the world. I'm changing the world through us.
You're changing. I was going to say, so are you.
Yeah, and you're
And you know
changing the
what?
world.
Guess what? They're living,
Yeah,
they're alive because of us. We say
because
their
of us.
names. Actually, and one more thing, if I can add really quick, like for moms, like if you don't know what to say, someone, a friend recently, and it was something I've never experienced before, which I was so grateful and new. I discover new stuff all the time. She actually came to my son's funeral, but never met Jacob. And so she says, and so she asked me just the other day, she's like, you know what? I was thinking about it and can you send me pictures of him
Wow.
before? Because she's like, I don't want my only memory of him to be it was him laying in his casket, even though he looked so beautiful. And I said, oh my God, as a mom, you don't know what that
Yeah,
means for me. Like
yeah.
I sent her, I flooded her phone. Sorry, like you're gonna get the album. So to me, what that meant is one, you're wanting to know my kid, which is the most like I want people to know my kid. Everyone, what do mothers do? They talk about their kids. So
Yeah,
I want to keep talking about mine too. But it's also like, oh, that's another person that gets to meet Jacob and know
yeah.
about him. And he will live like as long as I have breath in my body, he's gonna be talked about.
One of the things that I do is I say their name. I teach about saying
Mm-hmm.
their name.
Yes, say his
Usually
name.
if I meet someone, I'm like, well, what like they'll because I see this all the time right on Facebook. Pray for my mom. I'll say, what's your mom's name? Because I'm not gonna
Yes.
pray for Joanne's mom. You know what I mean? So I say, what's their name? I ask their name. So I do this, I teach this. We have to ask their name. Oh, my friend, my heart to yours. What is his name? But you just took it to the next level. You say, also, may I have a picture? May I have a
Yeah.
picture of him in the before?
Yeah, well, show me like, and then I sent her pictures of him was little, and she's like, now it all makes sense because she's like, I remember I went to the service and there were so many people, and even though I never met him, I was so emotional because you could just feel like the grief because he was loved by so many, but she had like, it was interesting. She's like, had like a disconnect. She was trying to kind of find a
Yeah.
connection.
Yeah.
And it was this, she needed to see pictures of him when he was little and tall and short
Yes, and asking
yeah.
for the pictures is amazing. And one of the things that Erica has said to me, I love it when someone walks up to me and tells a Donovan story. Like you
Hmm.
just love it. It's the same. It gives you that your heart feels the joy. And you said yes, and your heart feels the joy. Thank
Yeah.
you, thank you,
And
thank
any of your listeners want to reach out, you're welcome to share my email information.
you. Okay, perfect,
Yeah, so
perfect,
it's Joanne, Joanne at a goodlifeworkstc.com. Anyone's welcome to just reach out if I can link them with you, or we'll keep
perfect.
talking.
If you
But
could do me a
yeah,
favor and text that
mhm,
to me, I'll put it.
I sure will.
Everyone knows. I'll put it in the show notes, so they'll have your email in the show notes. All right.
Yes.
Thank you, my love. I can't wait to have you back.
Yes. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.